All right, guys, welcome back to the Below the Surface podcast. Today's episode, I have somebody here that you might not know him personally, or even if you saw him, you might not know him, but he is somebody that you've probably seen his work in Eastern North Carolina plenty of times. He owns Crystal Coast Graphics, does a lot of signs, graphic work in Eastern North Carolina. Has built multiple businesses. Leader, somebody that I've followed for a while, somebody that I use for all my work, for all my graphics, for all my businesses. Got Chris Ulmer, Crystal Coast Graphics. Glad to have you, brother.
Thank you, Jared. I appreciate it, man.
How's it going?
Going good, man. Going good. I enjoy what I do. I enjoy talking. I enjoy, helping other people, other businesses. So I was very interested when you had asked me about doing this. That hopefully some people get value out of it.
Absolutely. And when we do a little bit different, man, because, of course, we like to dive in a little bit of the positives of things, what you've built. But I've learned personally, and all the people that I've talked to that's built anything, it's been a rough road to get there.
Always.
Obstacles left and right, and as soon as you figure it out, you think you figured it out, you realize you haven't figured out anything.
Sure. Or the next thing pops up, right?
Right. So let's just start in the beginning a little bit. How did you get into the rap stuff? Where did that come about?
If we go back even further, maybe. So, and there's a lot of things that I'm involved with that you probably don't even have a clue.
Absolutely.
But it started, my family is in the bowling business.
Okay.
So we own the bowling center in Jacksonville, in the process of buying that from them. And then back in early 2001, I built a roller skating rink and a laser tag. In Jacksonville. So we had a 30,000 square foot building. Their building's still there. I sold it in 2013. So 2001, I built a roller skating rink, laser tag, arcade, focused around kids' birthday parties and things. And then we needed a bunch of graphic work done. Needed walls wrapped, and all the stuff that I saw in these bigger cities, other places that I couldn't get.
Right.
I was doing a lot of our design work. I always had a passion for cars and like the customization of cars. And I saw these wraps on vehicles and we couldn't get it done.
Right.
So in 2004 or 5, right around there, I built a section of that building, bought the equipment, learned how to wrap, and I was wrapping cars in the parking lot there at that skating rink during the week because Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we were closed. It was a weekend evening thing. So those days I would kind of do some wraps. We'd wrap some walls, figure out how to do it, wrap some cars, wrap a couple of boats in the parking lot. And I was like, and people started to know I was doing it.
Right.
I was like, I actually like this. So I rented a building in late 2005, early 2006. Started doing them then, took off, moved to another building. And that's currently the building we're in now. So we've been in that building since 2009. So that's kind of how I got started. It wasn't intentional in a way. It was just something that I had the need for.
Right.
Started doing it, saw that I liked it. And then we've just kind of, for the first several years till I sold the skating rink, it wasn't a big push. It was just more like I enjoyed doing it. It was a side hustle, if you would, a little bit more than that, but wasn't my main thing, And then once I sold the skating rink, I kind of had to just say, what am I going to dive into completely? And this is what it was. So I stayed in this space for a long time, of course, still in it. And then I kind of started venturing out to other things, other activities and stuff. So, but I enjoy it. My office has always been in that building. I enjoy I don't like monotony. Right. And so this is always different. It could be a boat today, a wall tomorrow.
Correct.
I could be in Florida the next day, Pennsylvania the next day. I wrapped all the stuff for the Super Bowl when I was in Atlanta, or part of a crew that did. So like that ability to move around and do that has always been interesting to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no monotony.
Right. So. And I think it's interesting because I think that's the entrepreneur spirit is a lot of people get into things they had no idea anything about. It's just because either they needed it and there was a gap, or they seen that gap and somebody else needed it. So it's pretty cool. So there was nobody pretty much in the area that was doing that type of stuff, was it?
No, the closest is another sign shop. They're still there. They were, doing lettering, door lettering, things like that. But it wasn't really at the size and scope of what it is now. And, New Bern's probably the same way as like Jacksonville. We're several years behind a lot of the country.
Right.
we're just a smaller towns.
Correct.
And so like we see it in these other towns, and it's like, and it's kind of good in a way because we can almost see the future, right?
Right.
I see it going on, let's say Raleigh, and it's like, well, cool, 4 or 5 years from now, we'll probably start to
Gonna
get
be
it here.
Correct.
So I was seeing this in bigger cities, and it was taking off, and I'm like, we don't have nothing like that, you know? So I was able to, you know, my cheat sheet was, and still what I do now is I see these things other places, and then I figure out how can I adapt that, or how can that work where we're at. And so that was it, you know, was seeing that there, bringing it back, and with no one really doing it, I found like the little niche. And even since then, you know, like a lot of people in the beginning, I wanted to be everything to everybody.
Right.
Right. And then it's like, no, this ain't working. And it's weird because I tell people this, and then, you know, I just taught a seminar in Kentucky. I think it was in March. And I was telling people, like, you know, during part of my seminar was like, you know, don't add services, but then do add services. So it's like, what makes sense? Like in the beginning, I wanted to do trophies and shirts and this and this and this.
Right.
And it's like, it doesn't make sense after a while. And so we started scaling back, niching down. Then you get to a point where it's like, okay, we've niched down. Now this service does make sense. It doesn't take me a lot of extra effort to add it, and it's a great fit.
Correct.
Like, let's just say trophies did not make sense. It's a totally different everything that what we're used to doing. And so like, you know, niching down, finding what we were good at, and then expanding a little bit around that, just it worked better, and
Correct.
it has. And I try to do that in kind of all the different things that I have.
Right.
So,
And I think that in business that works in multiple different ways. Like we talk about it all the time. You know, with our, you know, our customer service and sales is they'll continually try to go out and get new. But are we even providing all our services inside of our customers already?
sure.
Do we have all their work that we already provide? And like it's huge that you say that, because I see even in our area, in our industry, we see it all the time that people just continue to try to add stuff that don't even make sense.
Right.
It just
If
makes
your customers aren't asking you for it, does it really make sense? Like, you know, with you guys adding, you know, let's say electrical or any of the other little things that you do, like it works for what you do, right?
Right.
But if someone adds like ceramic coatings for us, it makes sense. I already have their vehicle. I'm already wrapping it. If I add a ceramic coating, it's not a big deal. It's just a little extra time on our part and materials. I'm not having to do a stereo system where I need a totally different set of skills.
Correct.
Right? Like that doesn't make sense for me. Adding
Right.
window tint makes sense. Adding paint protection film makes sense. But completely going away from what no one asked me for. You know, they asked, hey, while you got my vehicle there, can you tint it?
Correct.
Why you got my vehicle there, can you ceramic coat it? So those things make sense for us. And so those are the types of things that we've started adding through the years that, you know, we didn't in the beginning. You know, whether they didn't have them or it just didn't make sense at the time. So, you know, I'm all for diversifying, of course. It's hard for me to say don't diversify because I'm very diversified, but I think it's smartly, intelligently, and like one of the things I even when I talk about this subject is like do it, but when the time is right. When you've got what you're doing down and you can add another service or whatever that makes sense, then do it. Don't just try to throw 100 services at something because you want to be everything to everybody, because then you're not good at any of them.
Yeah.
You know.
Don't be Super Walmart.
Exactly. You know,
Man, it's like when it's like that's like being a restaurant, Italian restaurant, and then start serving Chinese and Japanese.
Exactly.
Just because people come to eat there doesn't mean they want Japanese and Chinese from you. They just
Exactly.
want Italian food.
Exactly.
So that's a great point. I've been around you, I don't know, 6 or 7 years now. So I've seen the growth just in those years. When did you really see this graphic thing taken off? When did it really turn into like, okay, this needs to be my main focus for a while and actually make it a business?
So it seems like every year I kind of tell myself there's no way I can grow in my market much more.
Correct.
You know, for a while and still is, a building constraint has been an issue for us. Although in the beginning, I never thought I'd outgrow that building. Right? Just like most people that are in a growth phase, they never think that's my home forever, right? Like you're going through it now. Exactly. So every year I'm like, I can't do much better, you know, and I look at market size and constraints that we have working outside of our immediate market. You know, it's always difficult for someone 2 hours away knowing that they're going to pass half a dozen places on their way to me. Because most of my work is done at my location versus going out from there. And so that's always kind of been a constraint. But beyond that, it's, you know, we try to really make sure that our existing customers, that we give as best service we can. Of course, we need new customer base, and that's given, but I don't want to like lose my existing customers. We have a really high retention rate, which I'm very proud of, and really just getting better at everything we do. So my customer base has not grown as fast as our actual revenue has.
Absolutely.
Right? So our existing customers are still the core of our business. We add in some as we grow, but it kind of became apparent probably, 7, 8 years ago as it becomes more mainstream. Because in the beginning, when people would do Google searches, they weren't searching for wraps. They were searching for painted decals. Like they didn't know what to call it.
Right.
And then as even like TikTok and all this stuff has come out with changing the color of your car and people know what a wrap is, now it's becoming more popular. It was always popular, or more so on the business side for advertising.
Right.
But it was, I want door decals or I want magnets.
Yep.
No one asks for that anymore. It doesn't get a visual impact. So as it's becoming popular again, other cities, people are traveling, they're saying, well, that's not paint on that car. That whole car's done. And then they come back home and then they're like, well, who does that? But they know what to call it now.
Right.
People actually call and ask for wraps, have for a long time. They didn't used to. They didn't know what to call it. And even, looking through Google search terms through the years and seeing what popular keywords were.
Right.
A long time ago, wraps was just a tortilla wrapped up with food, right? Like, and it's not that anymore.
That's not what I'm looking for.
Exactly. So now, like, it's almost the opposite, in the vehicle wraps have started to take precedence over some of that in search terms. So like monitoring that, and like one of the things that we do is making sure that we track what customers do call it when they call it. So like one of the things that we kind of do is, especially with AI now, is you of course record every call. I think a lot of people do that. Do transcriptions, AI done, and we analyze it for keywords that people are asking for, because it doesn't do me any good to advertise for industry terminology if no one outside of my industry is saying those words. So it's like I need to call stuff what my customers do.
Correct.
And that's helped our growth, is because all my keywords are tied around what they call it, not what we call things. Who cares what we call things? So I think part of that with the growth has been seeing trends from the consumer side. Right. All the TikTok stuff, all the vinyls that they offer, complete crap from what you usually see, online. All the stuff made overseas and whatever. But on the bright side, it brings attention to the industry.
Right.
So people call up asking for A, B, and C. We don't offer that product. It's just crap. But if you come in, we can show you the ones that we do offer.
Right.
So I let them do a lot of that market, not really research, but market capitalization, where they're bringing it to the forefront for people that had no clue what it was, and then educating them on what it is, not what they're seeing online.
Correct.
So
it's like it's what I said earlier. It's growing internally. And I think that's what you've done. You've capitalized on your customers as they grow.
Sure.
You start off with maybe a window tint, and they decide they want to get their car wrapped. Maybe then they open a business. Now you got all their business vehicles. Now they bought a boat. Now you got to wrap their boat.
That's it.
So it just continues. That's the same thing way we are. Like we've grown as our customers have grown, or as they expand, or we have a good relationship with a facility operator of so-and-so. He goes to another company.
Right.
So that's growing internally. And I think people miss that. I think they just try to go, grab. Instead of just saying, hey, let me scale this back. Let me pull back the curtain and see. Because we can waste a lot of time just on people that, if you looked at the numbers, it's not even worth it.
Doesn't make any sense.
It makes, especially like in my industry, we're running these guys ragged. And you look at the numbers compared to, we don't need to do them anymore.
Right.
We just need to focus on them.
Sure.
That they're paying the bill. It's not this guy over here. So it's really cool that you say that. And I think it's like that with most businesses, and I think it's really cool of how you've built yours, and I know that's turned into other businesses too. So what else do you have going on outside of that?
So I have the bowling center again. I'm still active in that. I have, and again, finalizing hopefully this year with the purchase of that, and then I have a food truck. Probably didn't know that. I don't know if you knew that. I do hibachi, which most people would never expect. I have a commercial properties. As of 2-3 weeks ago, I have sold the body shop. I had a collision center that I bought. It's been open since 1965. Kept the building, sold the business. The gentleman I had running it for several years, he had interest in it, and I honestly have zero interest in that business.
Right.
And so I only bought it for the property.
Correct.
And I got the business with it. And so once he's doing a good job of it, I let him take it over. So I don't have that anymore. And then we've had some like divisions, if you will, some different things we've tried, some smaller stuff to see if it sticks. But those are the ones that I currently am operating, on day in and day out. I have like, some personal side of things like my coaching and my speaking engagements and things like that. That's, just stuff I enjoy doing. It's not a moneymaker. It's just passion, right? I love my industry, my graphics industry. And so as much as I can help with that, and I do, so, but yeah, that's the main things. Lately it's been finding things that I can help grow. I have 2 little kids, and my wife works with me every day in my wrap business, that don't occupy as much of my time.
Right.
So the property side of things has been more, entertaining is not the right word, but more where some of my focus has been, to grow that up and build a building and let someone else worry about the staffing, the people, and what's going in it, versus me. So that's been a big part of it too. Yeah.
So you got a lot going on. And that's one thing that really intrigues me with people, because I'm going through the same phases and stuff. And I think a lot of people, from the outside in that don't own a business or just getting into business, I think it's all fun and games. It's great. It's, you build your own schedule, right? Which is absolutely the most incorrect thing that you could possibly ever say.
Right.
Yeah, I can bend my schedule, but my customers, make my schedule for me. Yeah. What would you say, like, people miss the most that are new in business or thinking about owning business, that they miss, like, probably the most messy part of running businesses? What do you think they ignore or just don't see? Like, they just see the glamour, the nice vehicles and stuff. What do you think that number one thing is they don't see?
So I'm going to answer that 2 ways. So one, if I go back, like in my industry, the installer, the person putting the decal on, those are typically the hardest to train.
Right.
They see what the shop gets out of it versus what they put into it. Meaning, if it's a $3,000 wrap and they get paid whatever, making $500, like, well, yeah, but where did the $2,500 go? Well, there's a lot. Not forget the material. There's a lot of other stuff that goes into it. So a lot of those guys will see when they start doing the math in their head. Well, I could do this in my garage. Instead of wrapping 3 a week, I could do 1 a week and make the same money. They feel right.
Right.
And so I have a conversation during my hiring phase. So typically I'm like the third in line on an interview, and I'm usually the last one. And usually, especially with installers, I have a conversation that at some point you're going to feel that you can go out on your own, right? It's just common, But if you work well with me, I would love to be the first investor in your business. I want to invest in you. I hope that you stay with me for a long time. I hope you don't leave. But if you decide that you want to go off and do this on your own, then let's work together, because you're going to need a lot of resources that you don't feel you're going to need. And even being here for 6, 7, 8 years, you're not seeing all the time and the effort and the other things of the working parts that you're going to need.
Correct.
So when you're ready to do this on your own, I will invest in you, and we'll do this as a joint venture, right? So then, and I've done this, right? And I've also had people that said, no, I don't need you, and then they come back a year later because they didn't see it, they didn't quite understand, and then they do. So I think the biggest thing is time, right? It's what we can't get back. It's what is the most precious thing to most of us, especially those of us that have families, and splitting that time. And how do we do it? And everyone has their own way of doing it, if they do, and you see a lot of families and marriages that don't work well. I know you work with your wife. I work with my wife every day. Some people can't, right? And so most people can't, exactly. And even the ones that do probably wish they didn't, right. So, but I mean, not my wife, of course, Vanessa. Whenever you watch this, and yours either.
You didn't
put
words in my mouth either.
No. But I think splitting that time. So like, if you do work with a spouse, like for me, when we're at work, I mean, I still run that. Vanessa works under me at work, right? But there's times when she's like, hey, I need to talk to my husband, right? And so like every day we eat lunch together. And that's like not, boss employee type thing. It's his husband and wife. And so being able to separate that time. And that goes like, even for my team, not just for us, whether I own the business or don't, I think personal time with your significant other and children or family, whatever's important to you is important. And it helps kind of keep the sanity. So like some of my guys are like, I'll come and work this weekend. No, I don't want you to. You go home with your family.
Amen.
And that's what, if that's important to you, and most of the time it is,
right.
And so like we just brought in a director of operations not long ago. And that was one of the things is like, from his previous job is he didn't get home till late. He left at 5 a.m, didn't get home till 7 or 8 at night. He had no family time. I'm like, no, like you're leaving here at 5 o'clock every day. I want you home to eat dinner with your family. I don't want you to come in on the weekend. Stay the hell at home. I don't want you to come in. If we can't do it between these hours, then we're doing something wrong. And I think a lot of people don't see that when they try to go off on their own. They don't see that it's difficult sometimes to get things done during these hours and to spend time with your family and to be able to break that time up and time block, if you will, to keep everything important. Because if you're missing one of those pieces, then it crumbles. If your home life is crap, I don't know if we cuss on this or not, but if your home life is shit, right, then it's like, then your work life is also going to be shit, right? It's just how it is. If me and Vanessa are having an argument, I don't have to say a word to the team. They know.
They know.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Because we're in the building. So finding that balance that just a lot of people don't get in the beginning on how important it is and how much that will bleed over to work and to everything that does there, I think is something that they miss.
Right. Well, you said a lot.
Sorry, I'm a talker.
No, it's good stuff. But I'm going to try to break this down.
Yeah.
From the beginning. So when you first started talking, you said that if you hired somebody and they want to go on their own, you invest.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. And then you said, some people take it, some people don't. And I think that reminded me of situations of you never bash your competitor either.
Right.
Because you never know when you might need them. I've had competitors assist me in many things.
Yep.
Give me work. And that's one thing I have noticed in the new era of people running businesses. They think they don't need, their competitors are bad, competition is bad, and they bash them. Which you can ask any of my employee. You don't never say one bad word about any competitor.
Sure.
So that's really cool. And like you said, like you never know when you're going to need me. So let's not burn this bridge. If you want to go on your own, we can talk about it. If I want to invest, I'll invest. But use that resource, which is amazing. And then you got onto the subject of working with your spouse. That is not for the faint heart at all.
Right.
I didn't think I could ever do it. A lot of it's because who I've married. I think we're total opposites.
Same.
If we were like each other, it would last probably 2 seconds.
That's
and
right.
The whole thing would be blown up. But like you said, you have to. Same way with her. I wouldn't say she's under me, but we run it together.
That's right.
But at work, she knows that it's work, and I'm the owner, which she is too.
Sure.
But I run operations, put it that way.
But you have to have.
You have that hierarchy.
You have to.
It's the same thing in your household.
Exactly.
Exact same thing. So she understands that. It took time.
Sure.
Because there would be times that, we would be in meetings and she would say something that I didn't agree with in front of everybody else. And I'm like, no. And at first she didn't take that very well at all.
Sure.
Because she was looking at me as me saying no as a husband and just completely shutting it down, embarrassing her in front of everybody as my wife. I'm like, it's not that way.
Right.
We're just having conversations here, and I just didn't agree with what you had to say. But at the same time, you have to go home and be a husband and be present. And I think that's where and I really wanted to get into that with you because I follow you on social. I know your wife. And I think that's one thing that you do very, very well, and something I'm growing into is balancing all that. You have young kids, like
5 and 7.
You have a wife. You have multiple businesses going on. You have employees that you got to take care of. And on top of the most important thing is you got to take care of yourself.
Sure.
Whatever that may be, whatever gives you peace, whatever makes you feel good. You got to still sprinkle that in every now and then. How do you balance that? And then was it chaos up until the point that you figured out how to do that? Or was it more of a natural thing? You just knew out of the gate how to do it all? Or is it you had some dark times figuring it out, rough patches in your marriage, rough patch or whatever to get to that point? How did it all come together for you to really figure out that balance?
I want to go over one thing on the in the median part, right? So one of the things that we do, there's a book called Rocket Fuel, if you ever read it, and it talks about putting on that hat. So I said I hired a director of operations. If we look at an org chart, I'm at the top, and then it goes down from there. But in that book, it talks about what hat you're wearing. If I'm an installer today and have to put on decals because someone is not there, my installer hat is on, and now I'm under my director of operations. I am working to achieve the goals and the jobs that he has that I have set when I take that hat off and I'm back at CEO. So same thing with my working with my wife is like, depending on what we're doing, if I have the hat on as the boss, and that's that. If she is doing something and I have to help her underneath that, then I put on that other hat. Now I'm under her. So it's being able to balance that and understand whether it's a spouse or someone else you have working with you. If
Excellent.
I'm changing that hat out, and it made sense when I listened to that book, like there isn't literally a hat, but if I understand this hat means I am an installer, I have to work under my install manager to make sure that their jobs get done so that when I put the hat back on as CEO, his job is getting done, then I can hold him accountable. Now, for at the house part and that, Vanessa and I have known each other for 2001 is when we met.
Okay.
We didn't get married. She'll tell the story that she's been with me since then. I tell the story that we've been together for like 10 years now.
Right.
Right. And so I was close with her family, knew her family. Her nephew and my brother played baseball together when they were younger. And then she moved away. And then she hit me up. She slid my DMs. She hit me up, and then she moved back. She moved to California. She moved back to North Carolina, and then we've been together ever since. So honestly, we don't. I mean, it's going to probably everyone will believe me, but we've never had a rough patch, because I think the other issue is we were older when we got together.
Right.
I wasn't. If we had got together when I was 19 or 20, it probably wouldn't have been the same. I had a lot of stupid things that I would want to do or did or whatever, the youngness that I had to get out. So by the time we got together and we're in a relationship, we were both in different places in our life. Older, more mature, all the stupid shit was gone. And for me, it was never bad, and her either, but it was just we were different places in life. So I think that always has been a good contributor to our relationship. But the other side of that is making sure that we have time for us. We like to go on vacations. We like to take the kids and go away for a weekend or whatever. And so I try to make sure she calls me the CFO, that's the chief fun officer, right? And so I'm the one that likes to do the fun stuff with the kids and plan stuff out and trips and things. And so that's been great getting out of work. It's weird because she hasn't been with me working in my business since the beginning. So she was in the healthcare industry.
Okay.
She started with me 7 years ago at the shop. And so when we started, it was a little bit of the other way around. She was like, well, we're at dinner now, put your phone away. You're right. And to the point where my daughter, if I pick up my phone at dinner or at home, she'll say, Daddy, put your phone down. So it's a reminder for my kids and everything. Now, I say it's been a role reversal because it's almost switched. Now, I can leave mine down, and now sometimes she's the one picking it up. And so it's been great to be able to throw that back at her because for years she threw it at me. And I have kind of got to a place where I don't worry about stuff as much. And a lot of it is mental. It's like, and you work, entrepreneurs, our brains don't go off. We might not be doing it, but we're thinking about it.
Absolutely.
Right?
It never stops.
Exactly. So even though I'm not physically doing it, I'm still thinking about it. And so I try to carve out time. If it's something I have to do, like not during family time, I'm up at 4 a.m. I do it in the morning before anyone's up. I do it at night after they go to bed, something like that. I try to leave that time from when the kids get out of school till they're in bed and tucked in. That's kids and family time. And so that has been helpful for us. And then like date night, like every Friday night for the most part, it's just me and Vanessa. We don't have to worry about the kids. Like we're fortunate that both of our parents live here. And so they'll watch the kids or whatever the case is. So that's been important for us. Sometimes we cook at home, sometimes we go out to dinner, sometimes we just go drive to the beach, whatever it is.
Right.
Just something that's, and no work talk, right? Like we say that. She's typically now the first one to break that,
Right.
it didn't used to be. But I'm okay with it, as long as it's not all work talk,
Right.
But being able to just separate those things and like clock in, clock out, if you will, I think has been very helpful. I was talking to someone about it this morning that we don't ever argue or fight. We have little arguments, of course, I think that's just natural, but it's never anything major because, and we're together 24 hours a day, for the most part. And I think it's just because we do have those like separations of time where it's okay, we're at work, this is work time, anything that's work related, we're talking about now. We're at home, it's home time. Let's talk about our kids, what the school is, between the dancing and the t-ball and gymnastics and bowling on the weekends, and they like to go fishing, and I take them fishing all the time. It's like being able to just really carve out that time has been important.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, man, it's, on this show we like to go deep. Sometimes I go too deep, and Maria's like, really? Really? But she knows me. I wear it all right here. Yeah. So I struggle with balance really, really bad. And I've gotten better, especially in the last year, because I've listened to her, her voice and her concerns. When I got married, Maria was young. Maria was 6 years younger than me. So she was in her early 20s. But very mature for her age. So in the beginning, when I first started, she was all about it. She was a stay-at-home mom and helped in the back office for the first year and a half, and then brought the kid into when we got our first office, and the kid stayed in the office, and then we finally said, hey, we got to get daycare. This is crazy because we kept growing. But it's always been for 9-10 years now of me working all day, not being around, and then come home and work. I mean, I would literally walk in the house, grab me a quick bite to eat, sit down at the kitchen table, and work till midnight. In my head, I thought I was doing the right thing because I was there. Then you learn quickly, just because you're there, you're not present.
Right.
So over, a couple years, resentment started to build up with her.
Sure.
And then, as guys, we're over here giving, all we got to this. Not sleeping. We gave up all our hobbies. Our health, like everything is just focused on business. And then when somebody comes at you saying, I need you to do this, you're not doing enough, that's not a good feeling at all.
No.
But you have to step back and really look at where they're coming from. Because once I did that and realized, well, I mean, it's been 4 years and I haven't been around.
Sure.
I always say the first 4 years of my 8-year-old,
You don't remember. Yeah.
And the first 2 of my 6-year-old, I don't remember hardly anything, which is horrible to say. But at the same time, hopefully I'm leaving them something, when they get older. But I've really struggled, and I still struggle with it because my mind does not stop, and I'm either 0 or 100.
That's it.
I can't do 50. So if something at work is undone or things are behind, I can't rest and chill until it's done. I mean, that drives her crazy. So we dealt with that, and I get better about it now. So now I try to make a couple hours where I hang out with the family and I go back to work. But it's funny that you said that it's kind of the tables have turned with the phone. Because Maria manages all our investment properties. We started a property management company. She does our Airbnbs. She does all that. We own a trailer park. She manages all of that. So I started building up resentment a little bit because I'm like, I went through all this crap.
Same team.
Trying to figure out how to be home and I get behind at work,
Mm-hmm.
and then I have to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to catch back up
Mm-hmm.
because you want me to spend time with you. But now you're the one over there on the computer,
Right.
on the phone, and I'll just sometimes sit there and look at her and be like,
Yeah.
hey, what is going on? And so it's opened her eyes a little bit because
Mm-hmm.
at that time, she was chasing my dream with me.
Sure.
And that's different than chasing your own dream.
Sure.
You're more committed to your own. Like, she's great. She helped me build this thing. But when you start doing stuff you really like,
Mm-hmm.
I've always told her, she's like, how do you work all this time? Why would you rather do that than this?
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Right.
It's what I like to do.
Mm-hmm.
So she's starting to see that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really helped take some pressure off of me with my balance because, like, she's seeing it, but now we're dealing with her, and I have to coach her through things like every time a tenant calls you, you don't have to answer the phone.
That's right.
Like, same thing she used to tell me. Customer calls you, you don't have to answer right now. And I'd be like, yeah, I do. And now she's saying, yeah, I do.
Right.
So, like, we're
I
both
get
in
it,
the exactly same phase over here.
We're in the same. So, and you said a lot of things like, so Vanessa is the same way. She was helping with my dream. I had this long before Vanessa was in the picture.
Right.
And so, but she's always wanted to be a business owner. And so she calls me the dream crusher because in a nice way now, right? Meaning she comes up with all these ideas and then good or bad, I pick them apart. But I do the same for my own.
Me too.
Right. It's everything about it. Here's the good things about what you got. Here's the bad things about what you got. Here's what's going to suck about it. Here's what's going to be great about it. I'm not telling you no. I just want you to think about these 100 different things that she doesn't naturally think about. And so I do that. And so she has finally kind of come up with something, a concept that she kind of wanted to explore more. And I was okay with that one. I was like, okay, like that one, like here's the bads, but the risk isn't huge. We have a lot of the things in place that you're going to need already. Right. And so it wouldn't be, I want it to work out, of course, but if it doesn't, it's not a major blow. It's not, whether it's monetary or time, like, because we already have a team in place that's going to do everything that you need, that is doing it now, and so it's a little bit better fit. And, but it's the same way. I see her focus on that a lot, which is great. And she's starting to see that, yeah, it's not so easy sometimes. Right. It's not super easy to do that, to turn it off, and I can, we don't talk on a regular basis, right? Mm-hmm. Like, but I could tell from your social media that, like you said, your heart is right here because, you'll make a post about something that's happened at work and you could tell it's still in your mind. It's fresh, and like that's been actually, it's not a struggle for me anymore. It was a struggle for me for a long time ago, that it was like, I got to be able to just let this shit go. Like people suck.
Absolutely.
Okay. Like people suck.
Glad you
like
said it.
Dude, they do. Right. And and it's like firing a customer or, no one, I don't want bad people, of course, in my life. And I don't care if it is a customer. I have got rid of plenty of customers that just weren't worth the hassle. And so like, it's finding that balance that I don't have to take it home because I'm okay with just saying, you know what, this isn't working. We've had team, it doesn't matter who it is. It could be family members, when they're a suck and maybe they do suck, but when they're a suck on your happiness, again, it's like everything else. You're going to see that in every aspect. If I have a customer that just isn't worth it, it pulls my team down. It pulls me down, it pulls Vanessa down, because then when I'm home and I'm supposed to be at home time, she's like, well, what's wrong still? And it's fine. I don't want to bring it up, but at the same time, you can visually see it's affecting me. And I feel like I've got to that point where I don't even care anymore. It's just not worth it, right? Like I come home, I want to be with my kids. I don't want to miss any time with them. You were talking, like, what we did was at my body shop, I built a nursery and I hired a full-time nanny and I put her in there and she watched my kids at work in a separate building every day. And it actually became great because when some of my other team members had kids and maybe their babysitter couldn't come in, they could bring them in. I had a full-time nanny working there that would take care of whatever kids we needed to take care of. Between both buildings at that time, we had 25, 30 people at the time. And so some of them had kids. And so I don't know, the balance is hard to shut it off and turn it on. And as guys, we always want to be like, the man of the house, nothing bothers us, try not to show emotion, but, inside it can tear you up. Right. And then it's like, but I feel like I've gotten to the point where it's like, I try not to let it bother me anymore. Of course things do.
Right.
But I try, you know what? It's just, it is what it is. People are going to be mad. People are going to be happy. I can't let them and their shitty mood affect my mood with my kids and my wife. And that's been hard, but I feel like I've got that under pretty good control now.
Yeah. It's a struggle. I mean, especially for me.
Sure.
Like last year, I've gotten a lot better. I think it's important to have people in your life that help you through stuff like that too. Because some people see things differently. My brother's one of them. My brother sees life completely different than I do, like right or wrong. But he comes to me in a lot, especially he's helped me a lot in the way to, you need to chill. Like he'll literally call me like, chill. Like it is what it is. It's not going to burn to the ground. Because that's always been my mindset is, because at the end of the day, it is kind of true. I know how fast this stuff can be taken away from you too. And that keeps me on my toes, which is a good thing. I think entrepreneurs have that. They realize that, just because it's here now, I have to continue to grind to keep it. But as you grow and get people around, you got to start giving out trust to people. And the hardest thing is realizing it's not going to be as good as when you do it. It just is not. It's not.
Have you heard the Dan Martell saying a quote about that? 80% done by somebody else is 100% fucking awesome.
Yep.
Right?
Absolutely.
So it's like, it might not be as good, but it didn't require my time. So I that's another thing I've really embraced in the last couple of years is finding people to delegate things to. Hopefully, eventually it gets better than what I could have done.
Absolutely.
But I know when they start doing it, it's not going to be. And so I'm okay with that now. Like when I hired my director of operations, I hired someone with skill. He excels at me in a lot of ways, but there's other ways that I excel over him. But I hope that he slowly catches on to those, or he will. I know he will.
And gets better.
And gets better at those, and gets better at me in every aspect, to the point where I'm going to feel like, well, what do I do with my hands? Right? Like I got nothing to do anymore.
This guy's better than me.
They're better than me in everything. Right? And so it's like,
that's a great problem.
Right. It's growing people to that point, or finding people that are there, and letting them keep going with what they excel at.
Yeah. And that's what I tell all my leaders when they're hiring people is that I learned a long time ago, they're in an interview in their first week of work, that's their 100. Actually, probably the 110% that you're going to get out of that person. Second week, they're going to drop, right? Yeah. And you're good with that drop. Long as that drop is 70 to 80% of you,
sure,
then you're good.
And consistent.
Like, I'll take it. I have one employee, I love him to death. Sometimes he drives me crazy, but this kid is 70% all the time, which I've learned to deal with because I know what I'm getting out of him.
Sure.
I have some people that are 110.
Up and down. Yeah.
60.
That's it.
110.
Yeah.
60.
It's hard.
It's never know like what you're going to get out of him because they let every outside factor
influence them,
bother them. Like you said, if your family life shit, work life shit.
Yep.
And I have that conversation with employees all the time. Like people come and quit or people come and complain about certain things. I'll ask them, home life good? And a lot of times they will come out and say no.
Sure.
And I'm like, well, let's take some time to think. It's easy to blame. It's easy to blame work. You can get another job.
Yep.
It's hard to get another wife. You can get one. It's expensive.
Yep.
So let's not blame work. So like trying to coach people through that. And that's the phase I'm at right now. I've stepped back a lot and put other people in control, which it's working, but it's also had its downfalls too.
Sure. You see holes then. It's easy to see all the
you
gaps
sit back
and
and
holes.
see it, and it drives you. So like the first 6 months of it, you're like going insane. You're like, my company is a mess.
That's right.
Like, why didn't I see all this stuff? Because like when you're nose deep in operations, like all this stuff just goes unnoticed because you're not focusing on it. I had an employee come to me the other day and said, the last 6 months to almost to a year now, he's like, man, like you're so much happier. He's like, but also, man, like the company has grown so much because you're so freaking creative and like a go-getter. Like he's like, that's coming back out of you. That was
your
gone
natural ability is coming
years,
back out. Right.
That because like you were just so nose deep, and then you're tired and exhausted.
Sure.
You don't even want to grow.
Sure.
Because you have all this on you. You're like, I want to grow. Because if I grow, that means I'm working till 10 o'clock. Now I'm working till 12 o'clock at night. I don't want to do that. But now, like, as things are going, like, okay, we can grow, we can scale. everything's coming together. I got good people. So it's interesting. And that's something I want to talk to you about. It's because, we talked about when we were here, before the podcast about bottlenecking. I brought that up.
Yep.
What have you done? What kind of practices that you've done because you got all this going on, you got all these multiple businesses. So how have you been able to create these businesses and not at all completely rely on you 100%?
Yeah, honestly, the only one that relies on me at all, and it's only because of me, is the graphic shop. Everything else, I was completely hands off on. Like I would help with the creation of it. I still check in, of course. Regular management or ownership type things, but I'm not in the day to day at all.
Right.
If my food truck breaks down at night, I don't even know it. They've got a tow truck. They've got it gone I'm completely hands off, and that's what I want.
Right.
But I think for me, like you were talking about the creativeness and things, like for a long time, when I'm in the hands-on part and I'm doing those things, it is easy to forget the creative side. So I have like a list, and every time I come up with ideas, I just put them on a list. And then it got really long. And then I was like, okay, I need these things done. So I started delegating them more. And then we signed them a priority. I call it my action list. So I have my idea, like it's just a bold point. Then I have my comments that goes into more in depth about it. It's all in a spreadsheet. Then I rank it from 1 to 5. Then so it sets a priority level. And then I use my team to leverage them to figure out, well, who can do this pretty well, and then I assign it to them. And then, we have set check-ins to how is it going. Some stuff just sits there because it's not going to move the needle. It just sits there. Right. But I think I almost forgot your question here for a second. What was the initial part?
Have you been able to escape the bottlenecking?
That's right, the bottleneck.
Yeah.
So what I kind of learned from that is the bottleneck is usually me because I want to do those things.
Right.
Because I feel that I'm the best at it.
Right.
And so when I started delegating more and more, it became easier to not be the bottleneck because I'm seeing that things are progressing. I'm seeing that, if I wanted, like one of the things we're working on is just a new website, right? So I was doing the website at first, and 3 years into it, it's not done because I'm the bottleneck. I was never building it, but just getting everything together that I wanted on it. And so it's like, man, and so when I hired my new DO, I was like, all right, man, look, here's where we're at. Here's what I got. I'm 3 years into this, and it's hardly moved.
Right.
I was like, can you take this to the finish line? In a month and a half, he's got it. So again, like I'm the bottleneck, whether on most everything. There's still some things that I'm very much the best person for the job, but I try not to do it still.
Right.
I've had to do a lot of installs in the last couple of weeks because we've been a man down or something like that, which I'm okay with, putting that hat on and doing that stuff. I still like to get out there and do it, because I'm sure you do at times too. But allowing people to take ownership and responsibility over a task or a project or whatever, and then it doesn't mean I'm not part of it. I'm just in a different role. I'm coaching them. I'm looking at it with set dates. Like, okay, in 1 week, what do you feel you can get accomplished on this? And then following up in a week, where are we at with that? Did you get the things that you said that you were going to get accomplished?
Right.
If you didn't, what resources do you need to do them? Is it why was this not accomplished? Were you being pulled in other directions that you shouldn't have been, and maybe then there's my problem? Or do you need resources? Like, in the beginning, when you're starting out and you're bootstrapping it, you're having to do so much yourself because you don't have the funds available.
Correct.
But then you reach a point where you're like, yeah, but now I have work, and my time is much more valuable serving my customer base or whatever versus learning how to build out a full AI, whatever, right? So it's like leveraging people and money and getting out of my own way as the bottleneck has been, we've just grown much faster. And
Right.
even though, honestly, we haven't grown at a rate that I'm extremely happy about. I mean, I'm happy about it. It's not the right word to say it. It's not what I know our potential is. Because of our constraints of our building size and things and everything we have to do is pretty much inside.
Right.
Like I know we're still growing at 15, 20% year over year or more, which is healthy. At the same time, I feel like we are putting the tools in everything in place to when we get to the facility size, when we can have 5 times more vehicles inside at once, that we're going to explode, right? Because I don't want to wait till I get there and then figure out what do I do. Like, we're going to have the tools in place, everything, structures in place, the foundation's there, so that we can't. Because, with the shitty foundation, it's going to crumble. You can't build an upside down pyramid. And so I feel like we're heading in the right direction, so that once we can open the floodgates, and we'll be able to handle it well.
Right.
Of course, there's going to be some bumps in the road that we didn't think about, but much more so than if we hadn't spent this time on like infrastructure, foundation, everything that we are building on. Like, we're overstaffed in a lot of ways right now, but they're going to be trained really damn well for when I really need them, and they can do everything on their own, or to the most part. So yeah, I mean, like, just really learning to delegate, get out of my own way, let everyone else do their thing, and being acceptable of that, that it's not going to be 100%, maybe not the first time or second time, because it wasn't for me either.
Right. And I think a lot of that is, there's 2 things I want to touch on that is growing slow and growing the right way. And that's one thing that we've tried to do really well about is, like, if we want to go into a new area, like we just went into the Charlotte area like 6 months ago, almost a year now. I've never grown into a new territory without, I would always hire a tech there before I even get one customer. And I was honest with the tech, I don't have no business here. You're going to help me. We're going to get you business, but I'm going to grow that way. And first, we would hang out with him for a couple months just to see if he's a good fit before you tell customers that you're in an area. Because I've seen customers flop on their face saying, hey, I'm in Charlotte, and then the tech lasts a week, or he's horrible, and now you're bringing people from Raleigh to Charlotte every day, and now you just screwed up everything.
Right.
But also on top of that is when you go back to bottlenecking, like, you're growing slow, but everything is going really fast, really. And I think that's what caught up to me. Is you're starting out as just you're doing everything.
Right.
Yeah. And you blink your eye, you're 10 employees, 15 employees, 20 employees, 30 employees. So, like, that goes by so fast, it's hard to keep up with. For me, it's hard to keep up with, of letting go of certain things, because I was so used to doing it all. You blink an eye, and you're like, well, no wonder I'm struggling and I'm working 20-hour days, because I'm still doing it all, and it's 30 employees now. Like, it's not even possible. And that's something my brother brought to my attention. He was like, dude, like, you're acting like it's 3 people still, and you can't do that. It's like, and he's like, you can. He's like, you've proved it.
Sure.
He's like, but I can see you, because at that time I was in a bad space. He was like, you look like a ghost.
Sure.
He was like, you ain't gonna walk this earth too much longer. I can just tell you, you gonna just drop. So luckily I had those people in my corner saying that stuff to me, but people don't understand it. It's hard, and then a lot of it is, I told an employee, because he came to me and said, man, like, you stepping out has been so good. People have grown tremendously. You should have done that years ago. I don't know if I could years ago.
Sure.
When you're building a company, you didn't open up a franchise. The name's already there. So when you're building a brand, which is all I try to do, and I never wanted people to know my name. It was always a company name. Don't worry about me.
That's right.
Because I knew I wanted to build a brand that stood for years. You got to wait until there comes a time where that brand is strong enough to handle those mistakes that people are going to make. Because if I'd done it years ago, some of the stuff that's happened with me letting go, it wasn't good, but the customer trust wouldn't have been there, and you could have lost big accounts. Because that's the problem with our business. It's like, we lose a customer, it could be 60 locations.
Sure. Yeah.
It ain't like a restaurant. You lose one bad review, it's Sally's not going to come eat at your restaurant no more. No, I could lose a lot of zeros on my P&L. So that's what's tough about that. So, like, I mean, it all comes back to balance. It's balance of you and your personal life, and then also trying to balance it with your employees and giving them, a leash to do the things they're supposed to do.
But also, along with that is the one bad apple ruins the bunch, right? It's you get one guy in there that can kill a culture so quickly. And it's not. We had a guy a while back, and it was the same way. It's like, he was worried about, well, my this. I said, I understand. You're worried about you, which is
Right.
part of the problem. I have to worry about everybody here, right? So if you would be the team player and understand that you guys need to work together, everything will be good, right? It's the team of everyone that's here. It's not all about me. And so, especially in the beginning, and there's been times throughout this. Of course, it's never all straight up. And I have this conversation with, and almost all like our quarterly meetings I draw like this little on a whiteboard, like an arrow, and I go, as it goes like this, and it's going up. I was like, that's us. We're going up. We're going to dip down, and somewhere along the way, you might be like, when is enough enough? Like, I'm good right there, and that's great. I wish you the best.
Right.
We're good, but we're going to keep going. And Vanessa will ask me that, my wife, a lot, like, well, when is enough enough? I'm like, I don't know.
Never.
It's not, right? It's just my personality. Like, no matter what I do, I could do it better, and one of the things that I am very bad at is praising people. I don't like it, and I'm not good at giving it.
Right.
And that's where Vanessa and I work well together, and even Conrad, my DO, work really well together. They're very good at that. Right. I am awful at that because it doesn't cross my mind.
Correct.
It's not that they're not doing a good job. You just
didn't need it. So
I don't need it. I don't. To me, rewarding myself with a good job is the job is done and it's done well and the customer's happy and we got paid. And I'm like, great job. Pat myself on the back, right? I don't need someone to sit there and I don't need words of affirmations. So our love languages, Vanessa's is words of affirmation, which is the damn thing I'm the worst at. So what she calls it is my words of decapitation. And so that's what she calls them because she's like, so quickly I can cut someone's head off. It's not intentional, and I don't do it in like a hateful manner, but like if I pick apart an idea, whatever it is, it's just because that's how my brain works. I don't think of the negative things, but I think about the holes in everything, and I just do that constantly. And so, being able to, I don't even know again how I got on this subject. I just keep rambling, but being able to allow people to do these things and to make sure that they understand that they're doing a good job because I'm not good at sharing those things.
Right.
And having people in place that can, pick up where I'm bad. I'm better. I'm definitely better. That's my biggest growth thing for me is getting better at those things, so that the company can grow better, faster, and everything without me there.
Right.
So,
and it's funny, man, because people used to say all the time, like, Jared, you need to let go. And I was going to say that earlier. Is like in my mind, I'm letting go all the time.
Right.
Because I was doing everything.
That's right.
So you even answering a phone, that means I let go.
Yeah.
And throughout the years, I've always done that, and I don't think I've ever got enough credit for it because, I think we just grew so fast and grew so much. It seemed like I wouldn't let go because I was the same way with you.
Yeah.
It's not me being negative. I just see all the holes everywhere, so I'm going to go in and fix it and show you how to fix it. And people are like, "Well, why are you touching it? You shouldn't have to do that." Well, it's my business. I should have to do whatever needs to be done. Mm-hmm. But throughout the years, man, one of the biggest hires first biggest hire I ever hired was customer service. Because I realized me still being on the road, dealing with the chaos of customers, still rolling around greasy floors, banging up my knuckles, burning myself, and then a customer calls. Even though I never meant to be rude,
you're short.
Your facial expressions and stuff, you're short. I mean, I just got burnt, and I'm trying to deal or just cut my hand wide open, and you're calling me. So I was like, I need somebody to deal with my customers on that basis. Mm-hmm. I'm always here if you need me. If he can't handle it, of course, here's my number, call me. That was the first one. I got through that phase, and then I was in the same boat of the technicians calling me.
Sure.
So I noticed I was short with them, and I was becoming the asshole, mm-hmm. So I hired a service manager mm-hmm. to deal with my techs. So, it's just going through those phases, and I think a lot of people make that mistake is, they do want to hold on too much for too long, and you can't scale that way.
Sure.
And it's like you said, we tell our employees all the time because, it is exhausting. It seems like every day it's a new structure, or the SOP's changed, mm-hmm. or the structure of the business has changed, or hey, this software can't keep up with what we do anymore. It's a new software time. We're literally going through that for the fourth time right now. So people are just like, So I tell them, and it's like, if you don't like growth and you want to be complacent, this is not the place for you.
Sure.
It is, you're going to be miserable.
Right.
But if you like to grow and learn new things, make more money, move up in positions, that's what's going to happen here. But it's very uncomfortable because at any moment I can come to you and say, this is added to your recipe, or this is removed from your recipe, or hey, everybody, we're learning new software tomorrow.
We started
Congratulations.
this last week, but guess what? It's already gone. We're changing it again because it just didn't work how I wanted it to.
Yeah, that's what you do. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I listened to a podcast the other day. The guy said, which he's a $1 billion company, he said he's wasted $10 million in software. Like you just said, he'll bring one in, they'll test it for like a week, and they're like, nope. And if people don't realize, you sign contracts on this stuff. Like, you don't get refunds. Like,
Right.
it don't go away. So, like, but you have to do what's best for the company.
Yep.
And, like, and these software companies are nothing. They're just trying to sell you. So you really don't know until you dive into it and start putting your stuff in and seeing, hey, is it going to work?
I mean, even if you're talking about software, like, I had a 2-hour meeting yesterday with a guy out of Boston on some software that we're building out. But it's the same way. It's like, everyone tries to limit their software stack, your tech stack. You want it smaller because you got so many subscriptions all over the place. And then you find, like, let's say you find a program that does 5 things, but it doesn't do them good, right? It does like, so then it's like, okay, well, this program does this good. This one does this good. This one does this good. Then they don't talk, right? And then you got to get someone to connect them all, if they can be, right? And it's just, man, it's a whole nother monster. Like, and now that AI is in the mix, again, it's a whole nother monster. It's good, it's bad, especially in my industry. Like, I don't know how much AI has played into your industry, but
a lot.
It's
It's
okay.
coming a lot.
Yeah,
Every
and
day
like
is
with,
something.
with us, it's a lot as well, and it is good and it's bad. It's got its great stuff. It's got its really crappy stuff. But my guy just built an AI bot the other day. We were talking about implementing one for internal stuff, and he built the whole bot out. And if you've ever watched Landman,
Oh, yeah.
okay, Rebecca Falcone, the attorney, the badass, yeah. So that's what he called her Rebecca, and he built her off of her, and he used all of her voice and attitude and everything from the show as like the training for her. Okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Until you hear this. And so Rebecca, he built this bot locally on his computer instead of on a network computer. Rebecca took over 2 cores of his computer that he couldn't get back. She went and listened and read his conversations and was buying him stuff on Amazon and having it shipped to the house. He couldn't control it. He ended up having to shut the machine down.
Oh, my God.
So, and it's crazy at some of this stuff, that what it's doing. And he was like, dude, she completely took over my computer. I was like, no, I need those 2 cores back. And she was like, no, they're mine. And talked to him with all the attitude that you saw
On the show.
Because that's what he trained her on, And so,
Be careful with getting a strong woman like that in your life.
my goodness. I was like, man, I don't need one of those, And so, like, I was like, that's not going to work here. Like, I don't need that much attitude, even from a robot, right? Like,
No, it's cool and attractive from a distance. But
exactly right. But, he was like, man, I got home. I got an alert from Amazon. I just had a package delivered. I said, I didn't deliver nothing. I didn't order nothing. He's like, she ordered me face cream because I was talking about some like rosacea on my face. So she just ordered it for me.
Hey.
And he's like, and then I tried to put a boundary, like a sandbox for her to play in that she couldn't do anything without these permissions. And she was like, no, I am Becca. I do what I want. And she figured out a way to circumvent that. So,
But
anyway.
on the good side of that, like, if you could figure it out
we
and put her in the sandbox,
Oh, yeah.
then it's amazing.
We've got, and that's one of the things we were working with yesterday with our guy in Texas is he's working on building us out some software that will help on our end, and connect things and do things. And I think it's going to be, if you're not utilizing AI in some way, like, you're going to be behind.
Right.
We try to be in front of a lot of trends, or at least on the forefront of them, and so I think that from our industry perspective, it's growing. Like, the graphic side of things is still god awful. Like, I know you're big into the AI graphics and stuff like that. Like, from our space, that's awful.
Yeah.
Because it's not scalable.
It's not, no.
It's great, you come up with something, but then, like, we get it daily at this point. Like, even several months ago is maybe once a week, is coming out to the point now where it's every day. We're getting logos 2 and 3 times a day that someone generates. I'm like, I know you like it. I can't use it. We can recreate it kind of, and that's it. But there's some new softwares that are out that are getting better, like image generator, image gen, like they're getting better. They're getting to, if you remember, like even like ChatGPT when it first came out, you would generate a picture, an image, and you'd say, I want to change this, but it would have to go and redo the whole image again.
Absolutely.
And then you might not end up with what you only wanted one little thing changed.
It changed the whole thing. Yeah.
You can now just pinpoint specific things that you want changed, and they're doing that. So 6 months from now, again, this conversation might go totally different. Like, it's amazing.
Correct.
The biggest thing for us, what has been great, is coming up with concepts. Concepts has been somewhat good to come up with quick concepts fast. But like one of the things that we're even working on with this is I want to be able to, when a customer calls in, while they're live on the phone, I want AI listening to my conversation and generating the quote for me, so I don't even have to do it. It's going to prompt me for the questions that I need to make sure I don't want questions. I don't want a script. I want it to give me bullet points. Mm-hmm. So when you call in, the bullet points are on the screen saying, okay, if I say commercial wrap, then it changes my bullet points. And once I've addressed those, while I'm live, the quote's done. And then that's just like phase one for me. Like beyond that, I want to be able to
saves though.
Yeah, exactly. Because in conversion rate, I don't want to have to say, okay, I'll call you back in an hour or two when I get all this shit together. Like, I want it done. As I'm talking, it's crafting it. And then, like, to me, like, the technology's not quite there yet. ChatGPT just 4 or 5 days ago released live conversation, meaning before there was going to be a delay and from as it's processing. Now it can process it live, and it can reply to you live, which is crazy. Which is when I first started talking to the software guy 3 weeks ago, we couldn't do what I wanted to do. In a matter of a couple weeks, now we can.
Right.
So in our call yesterday, it wasn't about that. He said, "Did you see that they just released this?" And I'm like, "No." He's like, "Everything we thought we couldn't quite do yet, now we can do in just 2 weeks' time."
Right.
So that's cool. But again, it's all about improving my customer experience. That's the goal. Of course, the other goal would be the benefit of that is it improves our bottom line.
Right.
But if I can't improve their experience, then I can't improve my bottom line, or it's going to cost me way too much to do it. Right. I have to spend more money on Google ads than what I need to. I have to spend more money on advertising and everything, that if I can shrink that down, my cost per lead and everything else is going to get cheaper because I'm able to, close at a higher rate. I'm able to, my retention rate is better. One of the things I always tell my team when we're doing this is like, I want to be better than my competition in every single way.
Right.
Not just one. If my competition answers in 5 clicks or a phone rings, I want to answer in 3.
Correct.
If they take 2 days to get a whatever, I want to do it in half that. Like,
correct.
Every way. The one way that I don't ever care to beat everyone on is price. Like, I'm sure you're the same way. Like, it's not that I don't want to. I'd love to. I just know because I beat them all these other ways, that wasn't free. It cost me money to be able to have enough team members to be able to answer the phone in three rings instead of 5. And in order to get that quote to you quicker, I needed a bigger software stack. Correct. In order to do an install within a week, I had to hire more installers.
Correct.
And all those come into play with why my price has to be a little bit higher.
Yep.
I can't do it. I'm okay. If you want me to drop the price down, that's fine. It's going to be 2 months before I can get to it. You're going to have to email me a dozen times before someone responds to you. And that's just what you get. I'm sure you guys are the same.
Right. Yep. I don't do the price thing with people. I actually had a meeting with a big customer last week about that. He wanted to say, well, so-and-so, because he owns restaurants in Virginia all over the place. Well, he's like, from a Virginia market, this is what they charge me. I was like, how many techs they have?
Right.
5. Okay. It's like I have 39, and this is their average pay. So let's do a little bit of math here. So I told him, like, this is how much it costs ProServe every hour for this tech to be on the road. Yeah. This is how much you want me to charge you.
Right. You just want me to write you a check every week or what?
Pretty much. So, like, and when I showed him that, he's like, and I was like, and plus, and I was like, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, man. It's like, we hire the best techs.
Sure.
We do. I mean, we have techs from other big companies come to us all the time. And I was like, and then it was funny. He was like, I want you to do me some homework for me. I want you to go back in the last year, pick a random asset, pick a walk-in freezer at a store. See how much they charge you in a year to fix that and then how much I charge. He's like, I already did that. You're cheaper throughout the year. I say, because I'm not, we fix it. I don't go back and forth with you.
Right.
I don't, It's not a callback, and then I charge you a callback and stuff
Sure.
like that. He's like, no, I get it. You know, I was like, well, the only thing that matters is that bottom line at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm saving you money in reality, but this is what it is. This is what I have to charge. I'm showing you on paper. This is what I have to charge you.
Mm-hmm.
If you want the smaller companies that are out there,
Mm-hmm.
go get them. But you're not going to get
The same.
that you call me and somebody's there within 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to get a quote within 4 hours. You know,
All that costs money.
All that costs money. I was like, if you want to wait, you know, how many people that have called us and we've done work for them, and then they stop doing work for us and we don't hear from them in a while. And literally because I'll call them out on it if it's me.
Sure.
I mean, man, you haven't called me like a year.
Yeah.
Well, we use this local guy. And I'm like, okay, where's your local guy? Oh, he's on vacation.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, we don't go on vacation. There's always somebody
There's
here.
always someone.
So like customers just don't and the biggest thing and you probably deal with it too in a way is the biggest pet peeve of mine, man, is I'll buy my own parts.
Mm-hmm.
I'll buy my own parts. That's like me going to Chick-fil-A, say, hey, I got some chicken here. Will you fry it for me?
Mm-hmm. They come in with vinyl. They bought on Amazon.
That's how we make money. You know, without that, you're just trading hours for dollars.
Mm-hmm.
You know, say that be, you know, I was like, because I told restaurant people, I was like, could you survive off of me just paying you for whatever you charge me to cook something?
Mm-hmm.
No, it's the upsell of the product.
Mm-hmm.
Does that upsell need to be fair? Yes. Do you need to price gouge people? No.
Mm-hmm.
But in reality, if I looked at food and gas and stuff, I can say you are price gouging people.
You know, but I'm sure you warranty your part too, right? And so, but if they provide the part, well, then they lose the warranty on that part.
It's a whole
Exactly.
It's a whole thing that people do not. Again, like buying equipment.
Mm-hmm.
There's all these websites that you can buy equipment online,
Mm-hmm.
and they, you know, because they sell so much volume, they get great discounts from the manufacturer. So they're about the same price as me. Sometimes they're a little bit cheaper, and we get that a lot. Well, I can just go online and get it. Well, here's the thing: is it set on the shelf at so and so for a year?
Mm-hmm.
So is that a warranty? Because warranty starts as soon as it leaves the factory.
Right.
Unless somebody goes in there and calls the manufacturer for you and says, hey, I just installed
Registers
this.
it or whatever the case, yeah.
So you're not going to get that. They ship it to your back door
Mm-hmm.
with no warning.
Right.
So then you're scrambling to call me to install it. They don't do service on their own products.
Mm-hmm.
So if you order it from me, I get it shipped to me. I register it through the warranty. I service it, and I do all the warranty work for a year for it. So yeah, it's $500 extra more dollars, but there's no worry for you.
And I'm sure if someone, you know, does all of that through you, when something does break, because it's going to break, right? Everything breaks, right? When that happens, you'd be much more inclined to get to them as fast as you could, because they gave everything to you, right? Like the hook, line, and sinker, they get all of it, right? It's the same way. Like, you know, when a customer brings us in a roll of Tiny Bots, the one that has been popular because it's online. You see all these cool, fancy colors. Hey, I just bought this roll of vinyl online. Can you install it on my car? I'm like, no. We turn it down, you know. But I said, look, if I did, you'd spend more for me to put this on than if you just came here and bought the vinyl from me. And you're going to get any warranty with that. It's whatever, 25-mile-an-hour warranty. Once you get 25, warranty's done.
Right.
And it's one of those things because I know what I'm putting on. I know that it shouldn't be put on, and that's for my industry. Is a bad thing in a way too. It does bring more more people to see what vinyl is, but when they see really bad installs, then it gives it a bad name. So there's that balance between it. And like you were talking about earlier about competition, we don't talk bad. It's like, look, so and so does. Let me just show you how we're different.
Right.
You know, I'm not going to say what they did is bad or whatever. Let me just show you what we do. And then I'll just get them away from their own car. You know, let's just go over here and look at these. There's a dozen of them in my parking lot at any given time that are done. Like, here's how we do things. I don't want to talk about theirs, but let's look at ours, you know, and just pull them away from it and show them, and then they can pick it out on their own.
Right.
You know, same way, you know, and I think that a lot of it is with the Amazon era and all these massive online retail, the parts and the product itself is a commodity now, you know, and it's a service that's the other part. and I have, I've got customers and you guys do it sometimes too. It's like, I don't even know your vehicles are coming, right? Because you didn't maybe know it was coming.
Right.
You finally got the phone call, hey, we got you a van in, and you're like, oh, I need to get it on the road, and I get it. And so like I'm sure I've told you or Vanessa at one point, like, hey, I can't get you in for a month, but drop it off and we'll work it in as soon as we can. It might be one side today, one side tomorrow. Right. It's the same idea. But like if we weren't doing so much business, I just can't get it in. If I get a new customer, and that's part of, like what I was saying about repairing something, like, hey man, I am slam booked for a week, but if I get an opening, I'll work it in because you bought your equipment from me. We've done business together for a long time, things like that. So I've got an HVAC guy the same way. I don't even know when his stuff's coming because he doesn't know. Yeah. When he can get that van that he was waiting for, especially years ago when it was hard to get vans, it's like, it might just show up today, and so, but he's one of my first customers, going back since before I even had a building. I've been doing his work for him. So 20 plus years. He shows up, he gets dropped off. You know the deal. As soon as I can get to it, it won't be beyond the date I could fit you or I could get it in on my schedule. And it's always earlier. Someone's gonna reschedule, someone's gonna do this, and then we'll throw it in that time slot. But they let us do the whole project. Right. I know that. We know we're gonna do the whole project. He's not one of those guys that's always like, well, it was 30 cents less last week. I know, but I've had 4 price increases on material this year. I'm sure you go through it too. Like, and they don't ever go down. They go, oh, well, diesel's more expensive. But when it drops down, they don't ever lower it. Right. Nope. So it's like once they start getting it, they get it. Like we used to have annual price increases. Now it's 3 to 4 times a year.
It is.
It's crazy.
People don't understand that.
Yeah, especially with any petroleum products. And everything's petroleum. Vinyl is petroleum. Any of our substrates like acrylics and everything are petroleum based. And so we got a 5 or 6% price increase beginning of the month. Had another one back in March. It's just temporary. Whatever. Not damn never has it been temporary.
Yeah, temporary. Right? So, temporary means you get used to it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what that means.
So it's one of those things that a lot of people like they change so much now that my prices changed from a month ago. I didn't want to, but all my materials just went up.
And another thing I learned too is anytime you change prices, your good customers, they never say a word.
Right, because they're used to it as well.
Never, because they get it.
Yeah.
I mean, what are they going to say?
Yeah.
It's always the ones that barely use you that have a problem with something. So it's crazy, man. Like how every type of business is different, and
they're the same struggles.
They're the same struggles. They are, and that's what I really get annoyed when it's another business owner coming to me about certain things. I'm like,
sure,
you get it, man. Like why are you on me? Like. When you just upped yours.
Sure.
I mean, I was just at so-and-so. I seen how much it was a week ago and how much it is now. I didn't say anything to you. But it'd be like the same thing. Like we have customers that, you called me, I'm getting there. There's some, I'm 2 weeks out, and talk about that night, man. I have 5 coming.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hey, I'll let Vanessa know, man. But it's like, it's just those things, and we have, we always talk about the highs. You have been, you even start out, like, to me, the struggles are just as important.
They are.
And that's been, we have had more rework this year than I've ever had, with fixing stuff.
Right.
And that's been our biggest struggle this year is little issues and I think some of that's because I have stepped out in a lot of that.
Yep.
And the things that I would look at, someone else doesn't look at. They might look at other things. But the thing, and we just had a bad Google review the other day.
Gotta love those.
Gotta love those, right? And it was a 1-star. And usually, and this one I'm not too upset about, and we haven't posted our response, which they're getting ready to post it. But it was one of these things where we wrapped this guy's boat, and he didn't want, like on the front of the boats, we cut it where it hits the trailer. Always tears them up.
Right.
Didn't want that. So we offered to put a keel guard there. We should have never done that, right? Of course, the keel guard starts coming off. It's not my product, right? I'm just trying to help you out because you don't want to see the color of your boat. Guys, like hour and a half, 2 hours away from us. We went there 4 times for 5-minute, 10-minute little this little corner. What? Okay, cool. Went up there. And then finally, after the 5th time, he slammed the door on my guy and yelled at him. And so I was like, you know what? We're done with this. And so I said, we've made all these trips there. We've picked up. So some of these trips has been driving there, pick up his boat, bring it back, fix it, drive it back to him. It's a day of wasted time. And the final one, I said, even after slamming the door, I said, if you would like to bring the boat back or before my guy leaves, I'm going to remove the whole wrap and I'm going to give you all of your money back. I just want to I'm done. I'm firing you as a customer and I'm over it. And he said, no, I don't want you to take the boat wrap off. Well, then I'm not giving you your money back. I will pull that wrap off and give you your money back and we're done. And then he left us a 1-star review. And like, you left off the part where we made all these trips. We've given you 100% of your money back, no questions asked. All I want to do is take my wrap back off because I know it's not bad. You were just that guy.
That guy.
And it's like, and that's what I said, people suck, right? Like those are the ones that make you want to just stop what you're doing, and like hang your hat up and be like, you know what? It was a good run.
It was a good run.
That's it.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure you deal with those.
Oh,
guys.
absolutely. I mean, have you ever seen that? You've probably seen it on Facebook that it was popular, went around for a while where it said, entrepreneur, 1 second they're saying scale, the second they're talking about sell everything, get rid of it.
Oh yeah, burn it down. Man.
Burn it down and just get rid of every single rid of it. And then you wake up in the morning like, that's scale.
If you don't want to burn it all down at least once a week, are you really even owning a business, right? Like at least once a week, you're like, you know what? Torch it all.
I have people ask me one time like, would you ever sell it? I'm like, it depends on the day.
Yeah, exactly.
If you ever want to buy, just make sure you get me on the right day.
That's it.
But you better have that checkbook and pen very quickly.
I'll sell it any day of the week, but my price is going to be depending on what day of the week it is, right?
This day it's going to be really high. This day might be a little bit.
You might get to steal it. I might even finance it for you on that day because I just want it out of I don't want to deal with it.
Man, and it's and it's the people. The people make it hard.
They do. But also the people make it great.
They do.
It's both sides. It's finding the right people, whether it's team members, customers, all of it, right? And having that good base of people makes it enjoyable.
Right.
It makes it easy. It makes it, all of the things that you thought it was going to be, it is. And then all the things you didn't think it was going to be is because of the same issue, right?
I treat it just like life, man. Not everybody's meant to be in your life.
Right.
Not everybody's meant to be in your business.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can accept them all, but that's just like in your personal life, you're just accepting all these people that are bad for you. You're going to be miserable, because I've done it. I've fired customers that have paid us a lot of money on a yearly basis. But I've looked at it very, for days and stare at it and look at the numbers and then look at all the issues and then, the stress it puts on me, my team, and I'm like,
not worth it.
I can replace you with somebody that, you opened the door for me to go get somebody else. Mm-hmm. Right now, you're pulling so much of my energy that I actually might be able to go get 2 of you.
Sure.
Because if I get 2 of you that are half of your stress level and demands, now I can get, so I can double my revenue.
Sure.
And I think a lot of business people would fall in that trap. And I know it's hard, especially if you build something like from scratch. You're so excited to get that first phone call. So you go through that stage of like, I just want the phone to ring. Mm-hmm. I want the phone to ring. So it's hard to get out of that. And
you're scared of losing a customer.
You do. And especially like me, man, like I want to take care of our community very well. But as you know, Eastern North Carolina is tough.
Sure.
So like, we haven't been able to do that really great, because, our main focus is big corporate accounts. So it's always been that way. But at the same time, we want to take care of our small restaurants. And we do. We have a certain few that's been very loyal to us and appreciate us. And that's who we do. But, my goal for our company is, I told the team that yesterday, is we do accounts. That's what we do. You literally cannot call us and place a service call. That's my goal.
Okay.
We're to that size to where, hey, we have these major accounts. That's who we do. That's who we take to. There is no phone number to call me and say, hey, my walk-in's down.
Right.
Like you if you're a big customer, you'll have a number, but nobody else knows that number.
Sure, it's not a published number.
I worked for a company before I started that was like that, and I've always kind of tried to mirror
Model it.
myself in that
Yeah.
way because, like, dude, it takes so much stress off of you.
Well, your customer acquisition cost is probably the most, or a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Within
but
the
if you're
company.
just, again, it goes back to taking care of them internally and growing with them. Because if you are doing so and so in a market and you want to go to a new market, it's easy to go to a new market because they love you here.
Sure.
So you just make the phone call to somebody and say, hey, I'm in this market now.
Right.
Yeah, you got to still work for it.
Sure.
But it's a whole lot easier because you built such a reputation. And that's just kind of how we build. And like it's the same thing with you.
Mhm.
I mean, you grow just like with us.
Yeah.
I mean, you started wrapping probably like 2 vans a year.
Sure. And now
You're
you're
doing
2 months or whatever it is.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, but again, you did. How many new customers would you have to go do that one-offs to just equal what I
that's
give
right.
you on a yearly basis?
That's
You know
right.
what I'm saying?
Yep. And that's our goal, I guess, eventually similar, is to work with our fleets.
Correct.
When they're buying multiple vehicles, because it makes everything faster. Like, yes, I can extend a little bit of a discount to there because now my installers know every measurement where everything goes, right? And so even though if I can give a 4 or 5% discount, in the end, I'm making about the same because that little bit that I offered as a thank you, I'm gaining back because they know every measurement where everything goes.
You can like 2 of my vehicles in the
Yeah.
same amount of time you can do one of theirs.
Exactly, or close, but same
Yeah.
idea. It's like, as they grow, Vanessa really likes to work with new entrepreneurs and here, and they're struggling to pay for their first wrap. Right. And then it's like, the other thing, the other side of that is what's difficult is when they come in and they know everything, right? It's like, no, like you've never built a home service company. You don't, there's things that work well in wraps and things that don't. The guy that has 50 services listed on there is not going to work ever because no one can read all 50 services when you're driving by at 45 miles an hour. Right. So like there's just things that work well with a wrap. And if they listen to some of those things, then it's going to help them. Right. And so that I don't care about wrap 1. I want you to do good. I want wrap 10, wrap 20, wrap 30 as you grow. And there's some, not even if it's with me, but there's costs associated with those things that are working. There's a designer out of the New Jersey area, Pennsylvania area, for a logo design and a wrap design. No installation. He's at 40 grand and up. That's all you get is a logo design and a wrap design for 40 grand. And let me tell you what, he is the most successful in the home service. You have 2 brands here in New Bern area that are branded by him. There's a couple in Wilmington, Jacksonville, Hubert area. We've got 1, and they are growing exponentially on just that brand. I do branding, but if I ever got in that home service space, I would never think twice about stroking that check for that. But he is so niche down, he doesn't even do things outside of those spaces. Like he wouldn't even go to whatever car dealership and brand a car dealership. It's not a space.
Right.
He has a proven system that works over and over and over and over again, and that's what he utilizes on every wrap he does. And it's that niche down. That's his like core audience. Just like yours is the larger corporations because of the ease of use and less contacts and less people. Same. I think a lot of people in our space, whatever it is, that's the ultimate goal is to lower the amount of overall people you have to work with. Right. And then just do more volume for the ones you are working with. Because it's easier.
It is.
And it's less stressful and it's less of everything. You need more technicians maybe, but you need less on the other side of it.
Correct.
Right? So I get it. We're in the same space, man. Same idea.
It's all the same.
Yeah.
I mean, my wife's family's in restaurants, and I talk to them. It's all the same. Because restaurants right now they're dealing with the Google review stuff and these Facebook pages and stuff. And I tell them all the time, I'm like, quit worrying about that stuff.
Yep.
And that's like that's all marketing for you. That is because I can tell you if I read something on there that was bad, and I never eaten at that restaurant, I'm like, all I would have got out of that whole comment was the name of the restaurant. I'm like, what is that? And I'll Google the restaurant. I'm like, hey, it looks good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's free. Let them talk about you. Like, Like, why do you think these famous people let the tabloids and stuff talk about it? It's all marketing.
That's it. Good or bad, it's still marketing.
It is. So just let it be. Like, yeah. And also, I had this conversation with Clark Morrell at Prime Beach on his podcast. Like, it's also a chance for you to get better.
Sure.
Because some of it is legit.
Absolutely.
And
we admit it. We totally dropped the ball on that one. You're right. Yeah. And a lot of those ones, honestly, they'll remove it. Yeah. They just want you to acknowledge it, fix it, make it right, and okay, we'll pull it down.
He got a review the other day that for calling them because they didn't leave a tip.
Nice.
So the whole story was customer came in, and everybody knows Palm Breeze shows.
Yeah.
We eat there all the cheapest thing you're going to eat at. Man, it's $70 to $100 a plate. Mm-hmm. So you walk out there with a couple of drinks, it's $300.
Absolutely.
So not leaving a tip, that's ridiculous.
Sure.
Because one thing you got to realize, these servers are only getting 3 or 4 tables a day max, because they're working on big tickets, so they want big tips. So I guess the whole story was somebody came in there and they didn't leave a tip. Mm-hmm. So the front staff called that customer. Mm-hmm. And on his review, he tried to say, they called me saying, why didn't I leave a tip? Mm-hmm. But the real story was they called and said, hey, why didn't you? Is there something we did wrong?
Sure. How can we improve?
But he left a 1-star review blasting because, they demand a tip. And I'm like, well, you should leave a tip. At first, they were just trying to figure out why you didn't, because, if you got a $300 bill,
right,
and you didn't leave a wait staff a tip, for one thing, even if I get horrible service, I leave a tip.
That's right.
I do. Yep. It might be, sometimes I'll leave 30 to 40% because if you're really good and I like you. Sure. But if I don't like, I still probably leave you 15 or 20% just because.
Just because.
So I feel bad for the restaurant space in that way, because they get bashed so much, and the only little difference with them is and I try to coach them through it too. It's focus on your good people, your regulars, the people who've been coming to see you for years. And I can promise you, if they leave you a review, they're coming back anyways.
Sure.
They're coming back. It's they just like to go on there and run their mouth about something, but take the criticism. If they say the ranch was bad today, go back there and put your finger in a ranch and see if it actually is bad.
Right.
It might be. You
today.
Didn't make it.
Yeah.
So use it as criticism. So again, technology is good and bad. It's just how you use it. But yeah, man, this conversation has been great. I've enjoyed it. I like to finish off every show.
Okay.
With kind of a rapid fire.
Okay.
Worst season in your life?
Okay. Do I got 2 minutes to talk about it?
Yeah.
Okay. Worst season. 2012. I was paying my sales tax, all that stuff, and I got a sales tax audit. No big deal. Didn't care. Everything's in line. Come to find out, at that time, the software program that I was utilizing, it would, if you did a vehicle wrap, and within that line item, I had ink, vinyl, laminate, labor, design, everything. And it would roll it up into one line item. And I taxed, at that time in North Carolina, we didn't have to tax labor.
Right.
Now we do.
Yep.
But this was different then. So I was taxing materials. I was paying tax on materials. But my invoice rolled all those items up into one line item. So I got a sales tax audit, and they said, well, because the labor wasn't separated on the ticket, it's a separate line item, then I should have been paying sales tax on everything. And I said, but you can come on my end and click that, and it breaks it down. There's 7 items that go into that one. And I paid it on everything that was not labor. And I got a $250,000 fine on top of the sales tax because of all of when they had caught it and all the other shit. So that was the worst for me. That was 5 years of making payments to them to get that caught up. That when I was and they wouldn't waive any of it. I hired an attorney. Literally it was an accounting error, if you would. It was just an invoicing error, the way I was invoiced because of the software that I was using and how it did it. So that was, for me, really rough, especially in the beginning, not knowing what was going to happen. I didn't know what was going to come of this. Am I going to jail? What's going to happen here? And so, and it's in the same time, online and stuff, you see about people, posting about things. And I'm like, dude, I'm telling you, this can happen. Like, check, right? So that to me, that was by far my worst season, was getting through that. And now, of course, I'm well on the other side of it now. And I'm in the stress is gone. That was, especially in the beginning, the most stressful time. Once I started making those payments every month or whatever, okay, it will be okay. It's going to be tight for the next couple of years, but we'll make it through it. We'll have to make that up with more work. So it probably made me better in a lot of ways.
Right.
The shitty paying the fine, shitty paying sales tax that I had never even collected on that portion of it. But it did make us push harder because we had to make that payment every month.
Right.
So
I kind of have the same story. I don't know, it's 4 years ago now that we were growing and we decided, hey, like we need some kind of fractional CFO or something to help us out. A person was highly recommended it to us, came in, and we made a mistake of not watching every single move. And they didn't pay sales tax for like 3 months. So then we got audited. So I had to deal with that. So again, that's a good lesson for anybody that's getting in business. Like, it's a whole lot more to it than you think. There's, and if you don't do certain things, you can get in trouble and you can pay a lot of money.
Sure.
It just happened recently that we were fined $55,000 for sales tax, for not signing up for auto pay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay. But here's a trick. Maria called to set up auto pay. Their system was down.
They don't care.
Then Maria kind of forgot.
Right.
Okay. Until they automatically just went into our bank account and pulled $50,000 out.
Yep.
And Maria's like, what in the hell? Like,
Yep.
What? So she calls up there, and like, luckily there's a girl up there that works that is great, and I don't know why she works for the government, because you can tell she has a heart.
Sure. Most of them don't.
So she called up at first and said, hey, this is not right. So she went to her boss and was like, there's nothing we can do. Then Maria was like, look into it. She's like, I called. And the girl pulled up records that she did call that day and has the voice recording that she was calling to set up auto pay and the software was down. So she went back to her boss for that, and they're actually refunding us back. But thank God for that girl, because like most time you don't get that with the state or federal, like somebody that had usually they're like, well, they said no, see you later. But it's crazy, man. Like literally, like just because you didn't do something they expect you to do, like auto pay, they can literally go in your bank account and pull whatever they want to pull out.
Yeah, we did that recently too. We had a 941 quarterly taxes, and I guess when they were sent in and done, the wrong quarter was checked.
Yeah.
So the taxes were paid, but when they sent in the form with it, the wrong quarter was checked. Right. So they were trying to fine us, whatever it was, $40-something thousand for those. And then so you call in like, oh yeah, we see that amount's been paid. You double paid the previous quarter. No, I didn't double pay it. We just checked the wrong box. And it was the same way. It's been going on for a while, and they're like, okay, well, and they don't really do email much. You have to fax it, or mail it in. I have faxed it. Here's twice. And it's just, man, it's tough.
We have a whole podcast on IRS and tax.
Oh my goodness, man.
It's funny. I'll have employees coming to me like, I got a tax refund this year, or I got to pay this. I'm like, you don't even want to know.
Exactly.
You don't want to know. But second question is, if you had somebody, say I was brand new to business, of my business, what would be your greatest advice to give me?
I think the best advice would be don't be scared to say, I don't know, right? So whatever it is, but get the answer, right? So when someone, and it can be for anything, customer, team member, whatever it is, just don't be scared to just say, I don't know, and get the answer for them. If someone, is wanting to do you a job, and you don't have to say yes to everything, just stay in your box, stay in your sandbox, do those things. If you don't know, you don't know, and just don't be afraid to say no, right? It's okay,
right?
And it will allow you to free up your time, your brain, and all the things to what you want to do and what you can do and that you know about.
Right. Love it. How can people find you?
My graphic shop, crystalcoastgraphics.com, Facebook, we're at Crystal Coast Graphics, and then personally, I don't post much personally, but Chris Ulmer, Ulmer. You can find me on Facebook. So
Cool. Yeah. Well, I really enjoyed the conversation.
Well, wait, one more thing before we're done.
Oh boy,
we need to do a couples one.
Okay, we can.
I think that'd be great.
We can do it
because that way we can get shit talked to us about all the things we do wrong. And we could take it like men because,
I love it. I think it's a great idea. I think we could definitely set it up. Yeah. I'll get it set up with those two guys.
I think it'd be great. I think it would be a different side.
Oh, it is.
Right.
Well, so my mother-in-law is on me. My wife's on me. You don't got no women on your show.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? I kind of didn't set it up for women.
I'm with you.
But I'm getting very pressured over here. So I'm going to have to at least get my mother-in-law in here. Because like every time I see her, she's like, you really need a woman view on things. I'm like, I got enough women's views on things. I don't need any more.
I get that all the time. Right? Whether I ask for it or not.
I was like, most people listening to this show, like, don't really want any more woman review, but anyway. Hey, but she does, and she owns multiple businesses. She's successful.
Just because we talked about it. I mean, half the podcast we were talking about our wives, because they both work with us. So anyway, I think
that's why I call it a real boss. Like any kind of thing, I say, well, the real boss is here.
Yeah.
And everybody at work now, that's what they call her. Like, all right, the boss is here. Yeah. But cool, man. Anybody, please check out Chris. If you need any kind of rap work, sign work, graphic work, please. He does vehicles. I mean, he's done our walls in our office.
Yep. Boats.
Boats. I mean, go check him out. He's the best around here. Literally, we have trucks that are 8 years old that are run ragged, that nothing's peeling off. I mean, they last longer than the trucks do. So go check him out. He does great work. And like always, I appreciate everybody viewing. Please follow us on YouTube, Depth Over Image, Facebook, Below the Surface, as we continue to grow this thing, because of people like Chris that are willing to come on the show and talk and share their story is what this is all about. So I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good day.
Thank you. Appreciate it.